The sun is up, there's a little bit of cloud cover, the colors are absolutely glorious, and we've been hearing a leopard calling for about the past hour or so. We're busy trying to locate it. I am Noelle, and on camera today I have Seb. Hello, Seb.
Good morning, everyone.
Seb says good morning. All right, so I'm super excited, super excited. We're gonna go track and find this leopard. Don't forget, we are live, we are interactive, hashtag Safari Live on the Twitter, or follow us on the YouTube chat. So I hope you all are ready. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We're gonna go, we've just taken a wider loop, and we can hear the guinea fowls calling, and we are going to check to see if we can manage to find this cheeky little leopard. Now, to me it sounds like a male that's calling, but we will have to wait and see. The reason why I say I think it's a male calling has to do with the length of, I'm a horrible imitator of leopard, but I will give it a try just now. The ha ha ha. Males tend to have a shorter version of that, and females have a longer. It was about this side that we were hearing it, and then we've got guinea fowl to our east and a little bit to the south. Now, I believe James will be on foot this morning, so I think hopefully we will have a two-pronged approach, as Herbie and I have been chatting away, sort of dissecting where we think we need to go to find this leopard for you. I know that yesterday we were chatting, last night we were chatting about how everyone's got a little bit of withdrawal symptoms, as it were, from from not seeing enough leopard. And so I am holding thumbs, crossing fingers, and super hopeful this morning. And it's also just a nice morning because the sun is shining. You know how we love sunshine here. Okay, now, while I am busy trying to locate some tracks or sound, some more sounds, let's head on over to James so that he can say good morning.
Good morning. There is the sun. My name is James Hendry. I'm not allowed to interact with my graphics, but I just did. Viam is on camera today. Hello, Viam. He's wearing a t-shirt. He thinks it's going to be warm. It isn't. It's 15 degrees at the moment, 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Are you regretting your decision?
No, this is what I wear when I was sleeping.
That's what you wore when you were sleeping, so he's wearing his pajamas. The leopard is right here. Come. He's right here. He's calling right here. Please ask us questions. Hashtag Safari Live. You can send us your questions on the YouTube chat as well. He's calling right here. Noelle's in the area too. And Herbert is just directing her. He's telling her to stop. He's right here. It's very exciting indeed. Beautiful morning. Clouds have finally dissipated.
Straight to your right into the Shinkova. That's where he's calling now.
So good morning, Herbert.
Thanks, Herbie.
He's coming this way. As I've said, he's not great on foot. In other words, he'll tend to avoid us on foot. So Noelle's there. She'll get in there and have a look. But he called close by. Now there are an impala all over. There are guinea fowl shouting. I think he's moving down that way. I can hear Franklin's calling in the drainage. Now, fairy whatty snoot? Doppel snoot. Buffle, bopple snoot. Hello, fairy bopple snoot. It's Tingana. You want to know which leopard it is? We think it's Tingana. Alright, Noelle has managed to succeed. Let's go and see.
Hello guys, it's my nemesis leopard, and he's letting us show you on camera. I'm too excited right now. There, he's just in the background there. I'm gonna try my best to get inside of here and to follow him. gonna be scent marking the whole way. He's super relaxed. Let me just get around. Oh, so exciting. So now this was hearing his audio and then driving a bit, and then when we were busy trying to come around, Herbie could hear him still calling, and Herbie's ears are so good. As I was coming down the road, he said, "Noelle, take a right," and then look, here he is. I can't even describe how excited I am right now. So, of course, him being a leopard, let's just stop here so you can see him. Him being a leopard, he's going into an area that's going to be hard for me to follow, but I'm going to do my best to keep up with him. You can see he's in no hurry to get anywhere. He's super fat. There's the scent marking. With his glands on his feet. And then having a little bit of a wee. Or possibly a poo. And then he's off again. So now what I'm going to need to do is I need to come up and then around. So just excuse me while I... Ooh, sorry. It's one of those mornings. Excitement, excitement, excitement. All right. Come up and around. And let's keep him in our sights. Careful, careful. Sorry, Rusty. You're working hard this morning, my boy. Okay. Now we're going to come around like this onto the side. He's just in the dip here. And he stopped for us. And I just want to call it in for the Djuma guys. Update, I've got my daughter Ingwe and the Nkova here just on the western side of quarantine, the northwestern side. I'll keep visual as long as I possibly can. He's mobile west. Just let the guys know so that they are able to come and join us, because as you know, the guests that stay at Djuma camp also love to see leopard just as much as you all love to see leopard. And I have a feeling that one of the reasons why he's so happy to show himself to us this morning is because he's full. And because it's, sorry guys, because it's rained so much. Well, not so much, but enough that his scent is definitely dissipated. And he doesn't want any other males to come in and sort of take over. So he's just here. He's a little bit behind the bushes for you, but he's going to walk out into the open. There we are. As always, Seb and his amazing camera work. Look at that giant dewlap, that flap of skin under the chin. That's called a dewlap. The older they get, the bigger that gets. Oh, Tingana, you're beautiful. You're no longer my nemesis, Tingana. Thank you for being so sweet to us this morning. Okay, here we go. Sorry, just keeping an eye on him as best as I can. If this was a thicker, sort of wider riverbed, I would just follow slowly behind him. But because it is not, because it's a tiny little creviced area, I need to move along the side here. And then just do my best to keep an eye. The birds will help us keep track of him. As they are alarm calling as he moves. One of the ways that we were able to find him was not just because of his audio that he was giving that but also there was lots of guinea fowl going as well. So he is moving into a bit of a thicker area. Octo Girly, you're saying instead of last minute leopard, it's what was it? First morning feline. I like that. I like that very much. First minute feline. Alright, I'm gonna stop here and see if we can catch him moving along the drainage system here. There he is. And hopefully up the side of that termite mound. But I don't want him to go too far to his left, to our southwest. I want him to keep going the way that he's going so that I can keep with him. Not far from where we are is a road junction, and we'll be able to follow him a little bit better there. And did you notice he wiped the side of his face there, wiped along his body along that bush, and then sprayed urine? All scent marking. Okay, he's doing not quite what I would like. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to reverse and then go all the way around and then try and relocate on him. So it's going to take me a minute or two to do this. So while I'm busy doing that, why don't we head on over to James, who's having a nice little morning stroll in the sunshine.
I am having a very nice little morning stroll. I mean, I feel like we should almost go back to bed after we found that leopard. Well, we didn't find it, did we? We just sort of heard him, and it was a nice combined effort between Noel and Herbert. I had nothing to do with it. I was just sort of wandering along, talking to you. Okay, so we're going to head east into the sun. Possibly a little bit further to the north of that. We have two options. The first option is to see if we can find Tandi's den. It's getting to the stage where I think we need to make a concerted effort to do that. And then our second option is to try and find a lioness and her two cubs that came into Djuma yesterday over the Buffelshoek cut line, somewhere around sort of the northern parts of the reserve, and I don't think there were any reports of them on the Djuma Dam cam during the night, so I don't know where they are, but we might go and have a look and see if we can't find them. So we're still going to decide between Herbert and I, and we'll give Viam some input as well. He'd quite like to see some lions, wouldn't you, Viam? He's nodding vigorously. Good. So that's our plan. Hello, TA. You ask a nice question about collaring and how many leopards are collared here at Djuma. None. We don't have any collared leopards here at Djuma, TA. You know, it's one of the great things about the tourism operations here in the Sabi Sand. Although there is a there's a large human presence in the Sabi Sand from the tourism lodges. Because of that, we know the leopards very well. We see them all, and you know, throughout the lodges, they have a really good idea of who their leopards are, where they are, what their territories are, what they're eating, etc., etc. And so the point of putting a collar on one of them would be, well, I mean, there just wouldn't be much point. Barring one notable exception, of course, I've almost forgotten. Sendile, the male leopard, who was Shadow's son, who is Shadow's son, and he was reintroduced back into this area after he went to rehab. It's funny, you know, that these kids grow up with all sorts of funny influences. Anyway, he had to go off to rehab after biting a rabid dog at one stage, and he came back here, but they put a collar on him when they reintroduced him. That collar, as far as I'm aware, has either fallen off or gone dormant, and so, you know, we don't know where he is. It's highly likely that he's left the Sabi Sand area. But as a matter of course, they don't need to put collars on animals here because the tourism lodges see them so often that there wouldn't be any point. In an area, say, like the Maasai Mara would be a good example, or in an area like, say, Namibia, you know, vast tracts of untrammeled land that very few people go on, well then if you're a researcher and you want to find out what's going on with the predators, collars are often the only option. Even with the elephants, for example, desert elephants move huge distances. So do the lions there in Namibia, so do the leopard, and so do the cheetah, for example. So they will often put collars on them then. And in a place like the Mara, which is 150,000 hectares, 370,000 acres, yes, there are a lot of tourists around, but still, you can go a couple of days without finding your subject, and some of the researchers, for example, the researchers who look out for those 5 Musketeer brothers, well, they don't have the contacts, they don't have the resources to go and sit with the cat all the time and to try and find them every day, and so the collar is just very helpful with that sort of thing. It's just not necessary out here. And also, of course, tourists tend to start to object object quite strongly when their animals that they're taking pictures of are collared. It just doesn't look quite as nice as when they aren't collared, does it? That's a real consideration for the tourism lodges out here. Thank you, TA, for that question. We will continue down the road now. Herbert looks like he's considering life carefully on the road. Maybe he's seen a track or two. It's very nice to have. Whoops. Okay, I'm over myself now. It's very nice to have some sun again after 2 days of really, really cold and blustery weather. So we will continue to enjoy ourselves on foot. Dorna, you'd like to see a scorpion today? We can certainly try. We can look under some logs and branches and see if we can't find one. Nighttime's often a good time to find scorpions, especially on the trees. I think it's, never quite remember if it's a pisticanthus or a pistithalmus. It's a pistithalmus, I think, that lives on the bark of the trees, and we could find an pisticanthus, which is the bark of the burrowing scorpion. But while I could almost certainly, if we found a burrowing scorpion's hole, I could almost certainly just dig it out for you. Obviously, that wouldn't be very nice, because we'd then ruin his home, and he'd be upset, and he'd have to redig it again, and that would just be a bit cruel. So yes, they are around. Best option is to look under a log and see if we can't find an olivaceous scorpion or olive bark scorpion. Herbert, have you found any further tracks?
No.
Why not?
Still checking.
He's still checking. Isn't it glorious out here today? Right, we have a grey-headed sparrow calling on this bush here, and I think he's probably nesting. There he is. Come over here, Wumpy. You can see the grey-headed sparrow. He is calling to us. He is right in the middle of this Sisyphus bush. Can you see him there? Right in the middle. Desert. Well done, Viam. You found a grey-headed sparrow, handheld. No mean feat. Normally, the very first sound you'll hear in the morning, after somebody stumbling out of their rooms in the DRC to turn the kettle on. Oh, there's a lot of noise now. Lots of starlings going.
The drone of a generator in the background.
Yes, that too. Also, as VM says, the drone of the generator in the background. We've got no mains power at the moment. The power went down yesterday, and now we've had this rather beastly hum, which you kind of forget about until somebody mentions it. We'll soon get away from that, though. We're quite close to the camp still. Now, well, it's having vehicle trouble. I'm not sure what that means. What does that mean, Kirsten? Oh, the steering rod. So I suspect that a log came into contact with the steering rod and has, detached it or bent it. So what will happen is that the two front wheels will not be facing the same direction anymore. They'll probably be facing like that. Anyway, that's not great. Maybe Brent and Noel have something in common. That would be quite interesting. I'm not going to suggest that to either of them, of course, because they'll deny ever having broken a vehicle in their lives before. That's what happens. It's like I deny ever being stuck. It's funny how we feel a sense of shame when we destroy these vehicles. Can you see that? I don't know what that is. I've left my binoculars somewhere. Where have I left them? Kirsten, please will you stick your head out the final control and check if they're on the gym bench. I think they're there. This is a grey heron. Phew, we're okay. That was Taxon going on game drive. You know, I've left those binoculars in the bush many times and had to go back and fetch them and try and find them, retrace our steps. Anyway, we're okay today. That was very poor of me. Oh well. You know, you can't win all the time. Sometimes you don't win ever. A number of, I can tell from looking at them from they're from Johannesburg going on drive. Debbie, we're getting quite a few difficult suggestions through today. Chameleons and lizards you'd like to see. I think a chameleon is unlikely. I think a lizard we could easily find as things warm up a little bit. And frogs. We might be able to find a frog or two. I found a wonderful lizard sighting the other day. I was just walking around outside our camp, and there's a broken down fig tree there. And there were two, I think they're stripe-bellied skinks. They are stripe-bellied skinks, fighting with each other, or they were in a courtship dance. I couldn't tell exactly, and they chased each other around. It was a wonderful little sort of gentle reminder, I guess, of just the goings-on, the sort of social lives that are continuing all around us all the time. We tend to think when we go back to the camp, well, then it's finished, right? And then, you know, we carry on with our lives and the bush rests until we go out again. And it doesn't. There are constant little social interactions going on continuously all the time. Now, let's try and find something useful biologically. Oh. Noelle seems to want to announce what's happened to her vehicle. I'll be fascinated to know myself.
Rusty is feeling a little bit old and slow today. Sorry, everybody. And we came around to the side to where I thought Tingana was going to come out. And it looks as if maybe he's gone a little bit more south and a little bit more west. I can hear some francolins going slightly nutty just to my left-hand side, so I'm limping slowly over there. Now, thank goodness Tingana is not moving very quickly. He's moving very slowly, so I am confident that we will catch up with him no matter what happens. He is taking a sort of direct route that I would imagine would end him up along our western boundary. I do know that he goes off into other properties as part of his territory, and yeah, we're just gonna we're gonna stay positive with this beautiful male leopard. I am so excited that we did get a bit of a sighting for you, for just in case he decides to be my nemesis again and give us a little bit more of the slip. But again, I think we will be okay. Oh, Rusty, my friend. Don't stress, you'll be okay. Sorry guys, he's having a little bit of a moment here. Okay, there we go. All good. All good. So, what else can we talk about with leopard? I find it very interesting, and this is just a thought that just occurs in my head. Joe, you're hysterical. Joe's asking, now that I've seen Tingana, who's next to my lift. So, Joe, I've seen Tingana several times. I just haven't been able to show him to you on camera. That's why he was the nemesis. But to go to leopards that I haven't seen, physically haven't seen at all, I haven't seen Tumba, and I haven't seen Tundi. So, and I've seen Hasana, but I haven't put Hasana on camera for you. So, those three are on my list. Hasana to show while we're on drive together, and then Tundi and Tumba just to physically see. So those would be my other leopards to show you. So my thought that I was having just a little while ago was, I'm always amazed at how often track leopard, find them, and then guides and guests together are just so enthralled with watching this leopard, and it's taken so long to find this leopard, etc., that we sometimes not run out of things to say, but go slightly speechless. And it's a thought that I've been having on and off for a little while now, and it amazes me because there's huge amounts to talk about leopard, but it's so interesting how much time we actually spend searching and looking and gaining the sightings of these animals that we go a little bit mute when we found them. I mean, just this morning, just the fact that he popped up so nicely for us, you know, we talk about him quickly and then it's like, oh my goodness, now what? So something that I just want to put out into the sphere is just chatting a little bit about the lack of leopard population numbers across the continent, specifically sub-Saharan Africa, because most of what we talk about with our ecosystems and our wildlife has to deal with sub-Saharan Africa. Anything north of the Sahara, the ecosystems are very different, the species are very different, so when we're chatting about things, it's usually south of the Sahara. So now leopards occur all over the continent, north and south of the Sahara Desert. They also occur worldwide, up into Asia and India. And yeah, there's more, as far as I understand it, and I could be very wrong on this, there's more numbers given for smaller populations in Asia and India than for our populations here in Africa. Now, part of that has to do with the fact that Africa is huge, okay? Even if we're just talking sub-Saharan Africa, it is absolutely ginormous. And there's a lot of places that makes it very difficult to go and travel in. And the main reason why I'm bringing up these population numbers is for things like leopards to be placed onto red data lists, you need population numbers. You need an understanding of the population as a whole so that you can recognize that the population is depleting and therefore needs to be categorized onto the red data list. But because we don't have enough numbers, they also have a very elusive nature, not just the fact that we have trouble getting in. I mean, look what's happened with us now. I mean, Tingana was right there, and then I can't get my vehicle into that spot. It's too small, it's too thick, it's too enclosed. And now we have to search for him again, and we're only going to see him again if he really wants to see us, and if I can, you know, get my skills to be working properly. Everything has to come into conjunction. And so with that thought, it's with the population for this species and helping to conserve and preserve are two very different aspects of conservation. It's very hard. So it's just a thought that I want to put out there, and I just want you all to have a think about it. I have no answers for this. Someone out there might come up with an answer. I'm actually amazed at all of the technology that we have had, the increases in technology, just how amazing it is to be able to do what I do in the modern world. It's absolutely incredible to me. Seb, I'm thinking maybe we reverse and go back the way we came. Yeah. All right, so James is doing something in the sand, maybe digging around, maybe he's lying down again, you never know. We're going to turn around and slowly head back the way we came and just see if maybe we were a little bit too far ahead of him. So let's head over to James and see what he has to say.
Well, what I have to say is that there are lions around here, or certainly their tracks. That is the tracks of a male lion. Let me put my hand next to it. That is the traditional thing to do, to show how big a lion's track is. Are you watching them? You can see my hand, which is not very big, is slightly larger than this lion's track. There we are. Now Herbert reckons that this is one of the Birmingham boys. It almost certainly is, and he's got quite small tracks, he does. Then over here we've got his consort, perhaps, a lady lion. There she is. Now that's an interesting track for two reasons. One, of course, is the amount of sort of the depth of it and the scuffed nature. And that scuffed nature indicates that she was chasing someone or something, probably, hopefully not someone, something through here. And interestingly, you can see her claws. And mostly, of course, if you see claws in a track, you immediately assume that it is a hyena. But sometimes the lions will stick their claws out if they're losing traction, a little bit like for running spikes, of course. Cheetahs have permanent running spikes, and that's what's happened here. So this one's a little bit smaller, about the size of my palm. And that's what's going on. Now Herbie is just trying to figure out where they've gone, because they have been running up and down this road sometime during the night. They could be mating, but I can't think of a lioness in the Nkuhumas who would be mating now, because I think they've all got sufficient cubs. So, I don't know. Maybe just like they were yesterday, it was the male, the female, and the 2 cubs. Anyway, let's head in here, see what we can see with Herbert. We're not far from camp still. I'm surprised that these chaps didn't appear on the dam camp last night. I suppose because it was still so cold or cool, and the day had been so moist. I guess they just weren't very thirsty. Oh, look at this. Here we go, Judy. Our flower. Hibiscus micrantha, as far as I remember. That one not quite at its full magnificent purple or purplish pink. Very nice. No aroma to it. Nope, just smells like green leaf. Let's keep going up here. Gosh, it would be nice to find a lion on foot today. That would be very special. Let's walk gently through here. Show you some flowers. Now, of course, it's not often that, well, we talk about flowers that aren't very flowerish, and these are the sorts of flowers that are not very flowerish. These are the flowers of Combretum apiculatum, or the red bush willow, and they have a lovely smell. It's subtle. It smells a little bit like cut grass mixed with honey. Cut grass and honey smell, very subtle. And because it's such a common tree, when they're all in flower, and they've just kind of finished flowering now, I think this is an unusually late flowering one, there is just this wonderful smell around here, sort of October time when the sun shines, because when the sun shines on them, they make much more aroma than they do now. Very nice. Dina, you were here in August and you say that are there any potato bushes around? There are lots of potato bushes around, Dina, but we won't smell them like you did in August because they tend to smell largely in winter and normally only as the heat dissipates into the sort of cool of the night. That's when you'd smell them. I have smelled a few on 1 or 2 chilly nights that we've had here, but otherwise, no, I haven't heard them. I haven't smelt them too much. You'll find them in drainage lines, and they're quite easy to find once you know what you're looking for. So if we get lucky down in a drainage line, I'll definitely show you one. Herbie, what do you think? This way. We'll continue down here slowly. Herbert reckons they've gone this way, so we'll continue going this way. I'm not sure what he's looking at that side. I think he's just trying to get confirmation. Now, a cat, being a cat, of course, will not enjoy the wetness of... Ooh, there is an impala. You see him there, Vim? He's that sort of brown thing there. Come over here. There, he's looking at you now. He's saying, what do you mean you can't see me? There he is. William's got his bottom now. His striped buttocks. Shall we continue? He doesn't look particularly terrified, I must say. Alrighty, we're going to continue down this way, see if we can find further tracks of the lions and whatever else occurs out here. While I do that, Brent Leo Smith has made his way down off the escarpment and would like to say good morning to you.
Good morning, and welcome to another absolutely brilliantly beautiful day in the Maasai Mara. My name is Brent Leo Smith and I've got a riddle for you first thing in the morning. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big bad bat? Not me, because of course the bat is Craig, our cameraman for the day, and we're on an all-day adventure. So our plan is we're going to slowly meander along the Mara River all the way to the Tanzanian border, and then depending on what we find, we're going to meander then further west along the Tanzanian border, looking for the border boys, 2 male cheetah, and then heading towards the Salt Lick and looking for the female cheetah with 2 cubs. But the wonderful thing is you do not know what we are going to find on our all-day adventure. We could find many lions, a leopard or 3, a cheetah or 9. So it is a very exciting day, and we can't wait to take you on this wonderful adventure. If you have any questions about the big bad bat and my adventures today, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. We would love to hear from you. And of course, we have Joshua, who's one of the park rangers. He's coming with us. So in case we find something way down south, we can stay out late and see what action unfolds. It is an absolutely beautiful morning, as I said. And we are starting off with a lovely little elephant sighting in the early morning light. Look at that. The sun is rising in the eastern horizon. Elephants are grazing away at the luscious grasses of the Mara. And of course, in the background, one of the Mara's most common bird calls is the yellow-throated longclaw, somewhere in the grass behind us. And of course, that other sound was the sound of a lorry going to fetch the balloon once it lands. There we go, yellow-throated longclaw. Oh, I hear a winding testicular as well. And a very unflattering call of a lilac-breasted roller somewhere. Okay, well, let's keep moving. And while we try to detect whatever else might be out there, we've got a question from Consulting Detective, who's wondering, are there any fruiting trees in this part of the Mara? Actually, there are presently a lot of the Diospyruses or ebony trees along the river, and the luggers are fruiting, attracting lots of different bird species, turacos, parrots, green pigeons, and the like. All the fruit eaters, barbets, are feasting upon the ebony trees. Oh, I'm causing traffic jams because I'm not in a rush. There we go, let's move past. Thank you. So apparently there's some lions moving behind us, as I said, because we're not in a rush. Let's go have a look. Probably the Angama pride. We'll just see if they are moving deeper into the no off-roading zone or not. Who knows, maybe we'll start off our morning with a hunt. Wouldn't that be glorious? Whoa, there we go. So let's go see if we can spot those lions. Book lovers wondering, are there kudus in the Mara? Unfortunately not. Kudus are one of the animals that have gone locally extinct due to eradication of forested and bushy areas for the use in wood or charcoal. But there was a kudu seen very close to the border of the Mara in Tanzania, because they do occur in the Serengeti. So there is a possibility that they are slowly, again, extending their range to the north. Now, the Mara is a very interesting ecosystem because it is quite small, if you look at the grand scale of things, in terms of, because the Mara is actually part of the Serengeti, but it's a very small, the top northern section of the Serengeti ecosystem. And it is almost completely man-made. Of course, we've got the volcanic ash. Areas have been by burning area, but has been a man-managed area for many thousands of years. Now, a lot of people tend to forget that we are also part of an ecosystem. Whether we affect it positively or negatively, we still have an effect. So we cannot rule out the effect of man. Now, if thicker, open, so the other species that has quite a lot to do with keeping it open is the elephants, of course, but predominantly man. Now, where is this moving lion? Okay, well, I try find the Angama Pride. Let's fly across to James to see what Commander Bond has planned for you for the rest of the morning.
Well, we found some clouds, as you can see there, and I can't remember what they're called. VM said, do you know what they're called? And I said, they're either altocumulus or stratocumulus. Strato are the lower hanging ones, which I think these probably are. Cumulus, of course, the puffy ones. So I think these are stratocumulus, if I'm not mistaken. I welcome anybody who can tell me otherwise. #SafariLive, YouTube chat stream. Now I've lost Herbert. He's trying to find where the lions went. There is no call. There is no call from the good, the bad, or the ugly at this stage. Come, let us wander up through this bush. Hello, Mac. Good morning to you. You're wondering about tree orchids. Well, we only get one orchid here, really. The leopard orchid. And have I seen any? Yes, I have. A few of them have flowered already. Some have finished flowering already. Beautiful yellow flowers. Two species. One, there's Herbert. One the large, or giant, and one the sort of spotted one. I thought I was hearing lions, but I'm hearing ground hornbills in the background. Going, hooroo, 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 hooroo. So, Matt, if we can find some, I will try and show you one. I haven't actually seen any flowering yet. I have seen a few on drive. Impala running there. Or Nyala. Do you see them? Let's just go up here. They're running from Herbie because he's up ahead, looking for tracks there. Alright. Well, we don't have to look too hard. Well, we do have to look very hard for lions. Brent has not had to look so hard.
Well, we don't. We just had a little trundle down the road and we found the Angama Pride. And look at that beautiful light as they're playing. Unfortunately, they are heading deeper into the no off-roading side, but it is absolutely splendid at the moment as they walk into the long grass. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely stunning. You can see the cubs are still quite playful. It's still quite cool. They're chasing each other about, jumping, tackling. And of course we can't see all that's happening in this long grass. Isn't that quite a scary thing if you're an antelope to just suddenly see that feline head pop out of the long grass. We can see the adults far more clearly than we can see the cubs. Oh, there's a stickula flying past. Oh, it looks like they've just found a patch of shade and they're popping themselves down in it. Well, some of them are, at least. It is very, very beautiful. So they do like this area. They're going to head into that Balanites woodland there. I think they're probably done hunting for the morning. They're probably going to have a nap under one of the trees. But while it's cool, they might just nap in the wet grass. What have you spotted, madam? Joseph's wondering, is it difficult to navigate the Mara? It's actually quite easy, Joseph. You've got the Mara River, if you're on this side of the river, if you head towards the east, and you've got the escarpment to the west. So it's very difficult to actually get lost here. The other side of the river, however, in some of those valleys around the Rongai, it can be quite tricky. But there we go. What a lovely way to start the morning, and the lions are disappearing into the long grass, and we're going to continue heading towards the southeast along the Mara River. And you never know, there could be a few more lions around the next bend, or there could be an elephant, or there could be a hippo or a leopard. You never know. As I said, we're out all day today. I'm hoping for some triangle cheetah, but I'll never scoff my nose at a lion, so we could find some nice lions as well. It is beautiful. Barely a cloud in the sky this morning. Now, I'm hoping it stays that way for our all-day adventure. Yesterday evening was one of the first evenings we haven't had big rainstorms all around. So I'm hoping we're going to have a relatively dry week for the next week. Now, while I continue to look for the big hairies and scaries, it seems like Commander Bond is taking you into the minutiae of the African bush.
Well, we're also looking for big hairies and scaries at the moment. Herbert is slightly confused as to what's going on. The lion and lioness going up and down in this area, and so we're sort of looking behind each bush, wondering if they're not going to pop their heads up. We'll see. Anyway, here is Strychnos madagascarensis, the black monkey orange. That's it. There we go. Black monkey orange. Lost my mind slightly there. And what's interesting about this, of course, is that it's been smashed by elephants. And I think that this tree is an interesting tree because I think it opens up quite an interesting debate. And that debate, of course, is over elephant numbers. The Kruger Parks just come up with an elephant management plan that they published, or someone stole and published on their behalf. I forget which exactly. But basically, what it says is that the policies of culling up to 1994-96 and artificial water provision did exactly the opposite of what they expected them to do. It increased the elephant breeding rate, they've discovered. Obviously, you would think. Anyway, they've discovered that now. And so there will be no more of that, and there is no plan to increase or start culling again, and they'll manage elephant numbers by moving water around, which makes sense to a certain extent. I don't think they should put any artificial water at all, but a tree like this is clearly eaten by elephants. It's clearly hampered, its growth is hampered by elephant use, but at the same time it is an encroacher species. So when you find great big swathes of it in areas like you do here, you find huge thickets, almost monospecific, of this tree. It says to me one thing, and that is that there are insufficient large browsing animals, and in this case that would be elephants. So I think that the capacity of this area to hold elephants is much higher than we ever thought it was before. And that tree is indicative of that. We've got two birds over here having a little bit of a fight. Let's have a look at them while Herbert tries to figure out what's going on. I think they're drongos. Herbert goes, "Sss." So I look at him and he goes, I think what that means is that he's heard a vulture flying or landing somewhere close by. Come, let's go around and have a look. There's the blackbird, and it's actually, I can't believe I left my binoculars behind. I think it's a black cuckoo shrike. You see it there? I saw what looked like a little bit of yellow on the bill. Yes, I did. It is a black cuckoo shrike. That's very special, everybody. That's the male black cuckoo shrike. The female is a sort of mottled yellow and black colour. She's very pretty. Much less striking than him, I suppose, but actually much more subtly attractive from a colour point of view. Although he's got that very nice sort of yellow gape.
Why is it called cuckoo shrike?
Cuckoo shrike. I don't know why it's called cuckoo shrike. I don't think it's a brood parasite. That's a good question. Thank you, Viam, for asking me a question that I'm unable to answer while we're live. That's great. It's always nice to have that sort of support. In fact, I think it's a young bird. It's definitely a young bird. It flies like a young bird. Its wings are not fully developed yet. It's got a short tail. I'm just wondering, look, and like I said, I don't have my binoculars, if that isn't a very junior drongo. Let me just look down the camera lens here. No, I think it's a cuckoo shrike. Maybe just a junior cuckoo shrike. Often young birds will have that gape that's got a little bit of kind of discoloration in it, yellow. I just thought I heard cuckoo shrikes calling in this area. But it's definitely a young bird. And you know, the reason I know it's a young bird, and the reason I know that that flight pattern is indicative of a young bird, is that my mother's cat, vile creature, I hope my mother's not watching at the moment, catches young birds often. So I've had to chase her off them, and this is how they fly. This is a tiny bird. It's just fledged. It's really just fledged. And the other reason it's not flying away because it's a young bird. Young birds are often sort of a little bit like young leopards. They're a bit clueless about us as predators. They don't worry about us as predators. There's a great view of him here. Yeah, I think this is a young drongo. I think this is a little baby drongo now. Can you see him here, Vim? He's right here. Yes, because a juvenile black cuckoo shrike looks like the female. They're not this colour. This is a just fledged drongo, I think. I wonder where their nest is. Can't be far from here. Alright. Let's move slowly round. He's hopping there. He knows he's been spotted, you see. Hello, little bird. Good luck with life, see? Once you get through this stage, you'll be okay. And you say excellent camera work. It is, absolutely. But I suppose, following on from the last Bushwalk's camera work, which was me on camera, Well, I suppose that drongo would probably do a slightly better job. But yes, Wiem, highly skilled. The contrast between the last bushwalk and this one will be quite substantial. There is the vulture in the tree. It's going to fly because Herbie's just underneath it. It's just flown off. Hooded vulture. Very exciting. Okay, Jamie is now out. She is sitting with some antelope and, a horse. Let's see if we can find these lions while you go and say hello to her.
A very good morning to all of you, and James is absolutely right. We are now out. We left camp an hour and a half ago, but it took us a little while to get here and to get through the gate. But starting off with a lovely, lovely herd of eland in the morning sun in the Maasai Mara. So we've come all the way to Musiara Marsh just to be somewhere different for a change, and to see whether we can catch up with some of the animals that we don't see all that regularly. A quick introduction, my name is Jamie, and this morning Archie is on camera with me, and as I said, we're here at Musiara Marsh. Now, just a few weeks ago, this place was dusty and dry, but now, after the short rainy season, there is a green flush, and the entire place is just packed full of animals. I mean, if you look across, just as sort of a brief glance, you can have a look and you can see just most of them are actually zebra. You can have a look and just look at the sheer number of animals that are wandering around this particular area. And what we're looking for today, okay, it's a massive area, it's going to be a bit tricky. What is that running over there? It looks small at the back there, Arch. What is running there? Oh, it's a hyena. It is a hyena. The Marsh clan, that's not their official name, by the way, but the Marsh clan is an absolutely massive, massive clan. We know where at least one of their den sites are. So the plan is to look for the Bilishaka males, the 6 young male lions, or for Armani's daughters, or possibly both. I don't know what we're going to find yet, because I don't know where anything is. I haven't quite got that far. We've got this vast open space. We don't really know where to go. I'm going to go up on the ridge, I think. Right. So, off we go and find something before the day heats up like it did yesterday. Yesterday was absolutely boiling. Well, I mean, by Mara standards. By Lowveld standards, it was a pretty mild day, but by Mara standards, it was hot. So we're going to see what we can find in terms of the predators before they all go to sleep in the shade. So Archie and I have got a lunchbox full of sandwiches and frittatas and all sorts of things, and we're going to stay out all day. Tony, interesting. So you want to know if there are any unique animals in the Mara. Obviously the joy now is that you get to experience 2 different ecosystems in both within the African wilderness and both with the African wildlife. Unique, no. There are no species that you wouldn't find in other places. What makes this place unique is just the sheer bulk, the sheer number of animals that you will see. But there's nothing specifically that is completely unique to the Maasai Mara that you won't get anywhere else in the world, at least in terms of mammal species. That is a really lovely eland bull. Let's just stop here since we've got better light this way. Just have a look at that eland bull over there. The dominant male of the herd, much darker in color. He sticks out like I suppose you could say he sticks out like a sore thumb. Never really understood that expression though. Here you go. Just look at the size of him. Now he will stand with his head up. His horns will be above my head. Now, he is truly enormous. You can see that flap of skin underneath his neck, his dewlap. And he's also been rubbing his horns in mud and his head in mud, which is something that the other members of the antelope tribe that he belongs to, so the Kudu, the Inyala, that's something that they will do as well. There's a female by comparison walking behind him. Of course, both have horns, So both the males and the female eland have horns, which of course sets them apart from antelope like kudu or nyala or bushbuck, even though they belong to the same tribe. There are a few subtle differences, and yet when you look closely there are a few similarities as well. The white stripes along the back, the spiral horns, obviously, and the ability to jump. Now, an eland, even though it looks like a massive animal, or it is a massive animal, it looks perhaps like it wouldn't be able to move very quickly or lift its bulk up into the air. It's actually capable of jumping around about 2 meters high from a standing start, so 6 feet. Immensely powerful. And really, truly beautiful. Isn't this a lovely setting to enjoy? I can tell you one thing for certain, and that is the fact that whether you're in South Africa or you're in the Mara, there is nothing more beautiful than first thing in the morning. And speaking of South Africa, let's go back across to Noel, who has found you a raptor.
Jamie, I would agree, nothing is better than a morning in Africa, that is for sure. We've got a bird of prey that's being mobbed by fork-tailed drongos inside of this tree. We're just here by Treehouse Dam. My nemesis Leopard has given us the slip once again, but that's okay. We'll find him, but this is very, very, very interesting. I'm still trying to ID which raptor I think that this is. And we had such great action before, but now it looks as if the fork-tailed drongos are taking a little bit of a rest. The sky will still be cold and slightly wet from the weather yesterday. Doing a bit of preening, just sort of rearranging the feathers. I would guess from what I can see here, it looks like a juvenile of some sort, maybe a juvenile hawk eagle, but don't count that 100%. The lighting's a little bit difficult. A shame those fork-tailed drongos have given up. All right, well, we have a hippo that's not far from us here. So I'm just going to move us around so that we can see this hippo a little bit better. Now this is the hippo that we found yesterday morning inside of Treehouse Dam, and yesterday morning was very cold and windy. So he was just sticking one little nostril up. But today, there's a whole head coming out of the water. Here we go. Is that okay for you, Seb? There we are. So yesterday I was pondering where did this hippo come from, and I was thinking maybe it came from Biffleshoek Dam. But we were up at Biffleshoek Dam yesterday, and that male hippo is still there. So I think this is a male that's moved out from somewhere else. Now he knows he's being seen. Now he's not quite sure how he feels about that. Something that's interesting, we were chatting several game drives ago. We got a question about, I think it was from Tesla, if I'm remembering correctly, about the bristles on the nose of that hippo. And I actually didn't quite know why they had those. And when I got back, I asked Steph, I said, Steph, come tell me, do you know why they have the bristles? And from what he knows, he was telling me that it's from when dugongs, manatees, and hippos were more related. And they had these bristles to help push up the silt at the bottom of the water courses they were in to obtain food. And I was like, oh, well, that makes a huge amount of sense. So I just wanted to share that with you all. It's interesting with things like that. We sometimes know and we sometimes don't. And sort of discovering, there we go, discovering the hows and whys to me is very interesting. You'll find that most guides are overly curious, sometimes to the detriment of themselves. That's one of the reasons why we love what we do, and constantly trying to learn new bits and bobs. So I thought that was very interesting and just wanted to pass that along. Now I got a hold of my friend about about the question you all had about the tummy rumble with elephants yesterday. My research friend, I'm waiting to hear back from her. And once I know that, I will pass that information along to you as well. So Joy, you are curious about whether or not this hippo will establish a territory here. Joy, I would say yes. I think that this hippo will establish something of a territory here. I don't know how many ladies he's going to get, because most of the ladies I've seen are in Chitwa Dam, and very, very happy to be inside Chitwa Dam. So he's going to have a nice little spot to himself and probably be very lonely, but you know, most males of the species that we see out here enjoy being on their own for the most part. You hear those birds calling, Seb? Yeah. Sorry, so just to the inflow, we can hear some birds alarm calling. Cassandra, are you asking about crocodiles on Djuma? So we do have crocs in this area. I know most of the crocs that we show you are on Chitwa. I haven't found any tracks coming into or out of, say, Treehouse or Twin Dams, but that's not to say that they're not here and or not able to move here. A good friend of mine was on a walk in the Kruger National Park and was something like 25 kilometers away from the closest permanent water source, and it was during the winter when it was dry, and he had a crocodile walk past him on his walk. So they are very, very capable of moving great distances. So just because I haven't seen them doesn't mean they're not here. We'll just keep an eye out and see if any pop out for our summer season. Alright, I just want to come up onto the dam wall because I could hear a bit of alarm calling into the inflow, and I just want to have a nice look down the inflow of the dam. I also want to see if we can find a good view of the plover. Amanda, you're curious about hippos charging out of the water. So yes, they do that. It is something you have to be careful of. Look, their safe spot is the water, but it doesn't always mean that they're going to stay in there. A friend of mine works in the Sabi, the largest wilderness area in sub-Saharan, and their reaction to humans on foot is to come out of the water. Opposite of something we learned, so he's had that behavior. I also, when I was a brand new guide, I'd been guiding, it could have been, I think it was in my first week, but if I'm remembering correctly, like within the first couple of days, I was sitting in a little dip right next to a dam, and I had a male hippo, and I turned my back to him to talk to my guests, similar to how I'm talking to you. Now I'm doing this now with this hippo because he's just down in here. The chances of him coming up this bank is very small. So now I'm doing this, I'm in this dip, I'm very, very close to this hippo, and also my guest's eyes get super big, and I can hear the water moving behind me, and I turn, and this hippo is charging full steam out of this water, and I was so shocked. I was utterly shocked. Look, I'm brand new at what I'm doing, but I was utterly shocked because this goes against everything that the books tell you. I mean, why? Why would they charge out of the water? And so, you know, I drove away. Everything turned out okay, but it's just a reminder that experience really does count, and it's something that I've kept for the decade of guiding that I've had, is always keep a wary eye on them. Always, always. You never know with the hippos. Is he out again, or is he still hiding? He came out quickly and then went back. Can we see our baby plovers? Or, sorry, excuse me, lapwings. I see the mum, or one of the parents, but I'm not seeing the little babies. Although with the amount of calling that the two of them are doing right now, I'm sure the little one is around here somewhere. I really wanted to get to the dam here and have Tingana just sort of either lazing on the dam wall or drinking, but you know, he showed us himself for 10 minutes today, so I don't know if he's going to allow us to see him again. So there's the blacksmith lapwing. I said plover earlier. The name has changed. But you can use either, especially if you've been birding for quite a long time. Both names will make sense to you. And the call that they're doing now that we're mentioning for anyone that has never seen this plover before has a lot to do with telling their young to go and hide, because there's a big danger here, and that danger is us. Not that we know we're not going to do anything to those baby plovers, but they're not that certain. So we've also got a gray heron that's busy circling and wanting to come down to the water. And Seb is usually absolutely fantastic with flying birds. Let's see if this bird gives him a chance to show you the descent. There we go. I don't know if you guys realize just how difficult. So Seb's sitting on this little seat behind me, and he has to move his whole body as well as move the camera and keep everything in focus all at the same time to get this bird for you to see it the way that we see it here. It's an art form. And I'm always impressed. You're welcome, Seb. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm being serious. How beautiful. So this heron's deciding whether or not it wants to land with all of this commotion that's going on. Also just taking a look around to see where the safest place is, and possibly eyeballing the water to see where he might find some food. And you can hear the laplings going absolutely nuts. Ooh, and here comes our bird of prey. I actually think that's a steppe buzzard, hey? With that coloration underneath. Oh, look, and then now they're going to go and mob him. They don't want this bird of prey anywhere near their little ones. And it's very, very, very quick, the movement that we have going here. Ooh! Yes, but they clipped him, that one. Very, very, very cool. Yeah, they're not, they want this bird of prey gone. They don't want that bird of prey to eat them or eat their babies. Shame. And now they've won this battle, so they're coming back. They're quieter than when they took off, slightly. And that heron is now long gone. That heron's like, no, I don't want any part of this. Notice the frequency in their calls has died down. Thanks, Seb. That was awesome.
Pleasure.
And then now they're settling down and a little bit more quiet. Very, very, very cool. And there's and there's our hippo. Hello, buddy. You can see that light's really nice right now. It's just peeking through that sunshine through the clouds from behind us, so illuminating his face nicely. It's gone now, as I say that, of course, it's gone behind the cloud a little bit, but if it peeks out again and his head stays up a little bit more, that's going to be a beautiful shot. Ooh, Jamie is up in the Mara, we know, and she has some hyenas at a den site she'd like to show you, so let's head on over to her.
We do. We have something very, very sweet to show you. I always, always wish that we could spend more time at this den site, so I couldn't possibly have driven past while I'm in Musiara or around Musiara Marsh. So this den site has been active every single time I've visited it for the last 6 months or so. It was the first hyena den I ever visited in the Mara, and it is absolutely one of my favorite because for some reason, look at that one with a pile of dung. For some reason it is always active and it is always packed with hyena cubs. This just seems to be such a prolific clan. I mean, look at this. Ranging in age between sort of a few weeks now to this group here, which are probably, what would we say, about 3.5, 4 months old? 3.5. Their spots are out, which usually happens at around 3 months. Look at this. It's my dung. It's my dung. Is it dung or a pile of grass? I can't quite work that one out. Oh, tug of war. 3-way tug of war. Bull. Ah, the winner on the right for now. Oh, we're getting even more. Oh, that is one piece of dung that's in hot demand. Goodness, you'd think it was the most exciting chew toy one ever did see. The little one coming in. I want to play. I want to play. No sharing here. Oh, wait, take your time. I'm taking my dung. I'm taking my dung and I'm leaving. I'm off. I'm out of here. It's mine. It's mine. I found it. No, it's not yours for very long. There's one determined cub, I have to say. Considering it's had hyena cubs pulling it every direction, it's done pretty well. Come on, don't lose it now. Don't lose it now. Oh, it looks very much like he's going to lose it. Determination. Oh no. Oh, they are such ungainly creatures, aren't they? At this age. Oh! Down into a hole. And up again. The world is their playground. Oh, did you lose it? You dropped it, you silly thing. You dropped it. Oh well. I'm sure there's more where that came from. Absolutely, Kirst. I couldn't agree with you more. What Kirsty's telling me is that they're going to prep essentially an opportunity to share this experience with a much wider audience. Not that we don't love sharing it with you guys, but it's just nice to share moments like this with people around the world. Oh, is that just the best? Yes. Larimur, yes, absolutely. Play does help within a hyena den site, or at a hyena den site and within a clan, to help the cubs to define their hierarchy and also to learn their hierarchy. There is a degree of instinct involved. Oh, just one. There's a degree of instinct involved in terms of and imitating mum's behavior, because as you know, status is for the most part inherited within a hyena clan, but the cub still has to learn, and occasionally they step out of place, or they have to learn to be more assertive, whatever it happens to be. So yes, it does. Hyena hierarchy is a hotly contested thing. Oh no! Hello and welcome to an utterly spectacular scene. Look at it go! Look at that little cub go! Racing away with the best chew toy in the world. So we are sitting at a spotted hyena den site, where there's a collection of around about 8 or so cubs, and they are all competing for a very popular chew toy, in this case a pile of dung. Oh, just a quick introduction as to who we are and what we're doing. My name is Jamie, and this morning Archie is on camera with me. And as I said, it is first thing in the morning in the Maasai Mara of Kenya. This is completely 100% live, which means send through your questions in the comments section below. But before we miss a moment of the hyena cub action, let us watch them play. So what we've got here is a collection of cubs around about the same age. Now, a spotted hyena den is the social hub of the spotted hyena clans out here. This is where all of the socializing happens. So even though the clan spreads out, even members without cubs, oh look, it's got it back. Even members without cubs will come and visit the den site and bond with the females and the cubs there. Cubs that could go on to stay within this clan for the rest of their lives. Now, this is really very special to see, because you don't often get this many cubs of the same age dashing about. Now, Erin, you want to know if these cubs have a name. The answer is no, they don't. They don't have a name, and the reason behind that is there are just so many hyena out here. There are certain individuals with names, particularly the matriarch of the clan. Look at this tug of war. This is the most popular piece of dung in the world. The matriarchs of the clan, because remember, spotted hyena clans are led by one powerful female, so sometimes she will be named by researchers, but a hyena clan in this area can have up to or over 100 members. So it's difficult to name each and every single one individually. This particular clan lives around the Musiara Gate in the Mara. Oh, this is just too special. I'm so glad we can share this with you because, of course, spotted hyenas have such a fearsome reputation. But Valerie, as you say, cuteness overload. And of course, all of this is important. We were just discussing it a moment ago. All of this is so important in terms of learning for these cubs. First of all, to build up their coordination and their jaw strength, but also at the same time to help them establish where they fit in the clan hierarchy. Oh, look at the little one. Look at the one on the right. Doesn't even have its spots properly yet. Yes, look at your face. Too precious. Joining in the games with the older cubs. Now, Carla, you want to know how old they have to be before they start hunting with the clan. You're looking at it between around about 10 months to around about a year and a half. The reason there's that difference is because the cubs of high-ranking females, so if you can imagine the elite, it's still a bit wobbly on its legs, the elite of the hyena clans, the cubs are spoilt. The mother brings food back to the den site and they don't really have to do much to work for it in their first year and a half. So you'll find that the cubs of high-ranking females take a little bit longer, whereas the cubs of the low-ranking females never get food brought to them at the den, or if there is food around, they never get a sniff in. So they actually have to start moving about at a younger age. Oh, look at this. Anything's a chew toy when you're a hyena cub. I said it was a pile of dung. I take that back. I thought it was a pile of elephant dung. I don't think it is. I think it's actually a clump of grass, because by now a pile of elephant dung would have fallen apart. It is. It is a clump of grass and root system. Still, perfect chew toy. And Jimmel, you want to know how long they can stay in one den until adulthood. Typically, spotted hyenas will move dens every 6 weeks to around about every 3 months, depending on numbers and depending on the situation. And they do that because there's a massive buildup of parasites. And obviously the den becomes first of all, it attracts the attention of other predators because it smells so strongly. But second of all, it's a very unhygienic condition for the cubs to live in, and it attracts all sorts of parasites, external and internal, so that generally the females will move their cubs in a sort of a rotational basis between chosen den sites. In this case, though, this is a really special den because I've never seen this particular spot without hyena cubs, although this is certainly the most I've seen before. Look at you, blinking in the morning sunlight. They are so fuzzy. Megan, you're absolutely right. The fact that their cubs make hyenas look, or these hyenas look absolutely adorable. It's their ears, I think. Their ears and their very expressive, quite soulful eyes. Now, spotted hyenas, as I said, have a terrible reputation as being dirty thieves. But in fact, they are highly, highly intelligent problem solvers and hunters in their own right. It just depends on the area that they're in, exactly how much hunting they do versus how much scavenging they do. And it is the spotted hyena's unfortunate lot in life that they've got sloping backs, so they always look as though they're skulking. They've got eerie vocals, that whooping sound or the cackling laugh that they make when they're excited. And all of that has sort of led to people really vilifying them, as they're always the bad guy. In every documentary, they're always the bad guy. When in fact, they are incredibly complex creatures in their own right. They have a tough hierarchy, and it is very seriously enforced. Mia, you can tell the difference between the male and the female cubs, but it is something very tricky to do, because the spotted spotted hyena females have a pseudopenis. So it is, because they've got such high levels of androgen, their genitalia look very, very similar to those of a male. And you actually have to do some quite seriously close examination in order to tell the difference between the male and the female. There's just a slight difference in shape. And that is the giveaway in terms of working out whether or not they're male or female. But if you spend enough time at a den site, you don't just have to go by physical looks, because it is possible to make a mistake. You can also go by behavior. In general, not in general, always, the males are more subservient than the females. They are less dominant. The females are more dominant. The difficulty, of course, comes when you've got two cubs of the same sex and you're trying to figure it out. But by sitting and puzzling out the interactions with each other, you can also confirm your conclusion drawn from examining their physical aspects. But it is tricky. It is very tricky. And I'm always hesitant to give an absolute. Mistakes do get made very, very easily at this age in terms of working out what gender they are. So the oldest cub and the biggest cub, I think, has won the much coveted pile of grass. And everybody's starting to settle down for the morning, enjoying a bit of sun. It's quite a chilly morning. There's a very, very cool breeze. So on average, the temperatures are a little bit cold or a little bit chillier here than they are in other parts of Africa where you find spotted hyenas. Hence why they're so fluffy here. It's my piece of grass. You leave me alone. Let's just see how this situation plays out. Oh, fierce tug of war. Okay. I thought perhaps there was going to be a bit more play, but I think in this case the cub on the left has settled for chewing on the tree instead. Anything's a chew toy when you're a hyena cub growing very powerful teeth. Now, as our cubs settle down for the into the hole, as our cubs settle down for the morning and they actually head to bed for the day, we're going to be spending the rest of our day out here in the wilderness. So from Archie and myself, thank you for joining us, and of course stay tuned, because if we do find anything fascinating or exciting, we will share it with you. And just like that, everybody's gone to bed. Well, almost everyone. How wonderful was that? So as our one last cub, little straggler, reluctant to go to bed, finds its way down into the den, let's head back across to James, who is enjoying a morning stroll.
Well, yes, our morning stroll has turned into something of a morning hunt at the moment. We found where the lions were last night. Some tracks this big, so small cubs, possibly even from this morning, playing around, circling, which means they were up and down and sitting down and then lying down and playing, and probably the females getting irritated, the youngsters, or one female and one male getting irritated and so moving. Now we're trying to find a direction as to where they've gone. So we've been sort of widely circling the area to see if we can't find some sort of direction. We've been on tenterhooks, as it were, looking, waiting for a telltale head to pop out of the grass or a telltale sound. And so we're walking very quietly, and we're speaking very quietly. We're not far from camp. We haven't walked a huge distance. Here comes Herbie now with an update, and it can be extremely frustrating. This is where the tracker's skill is so important, and where, for me, why I'm a poor tracker is that I do not have the patience required to do this stuff, whereas Herbert will just circle round and round and round again until he finds a direction. What he's done so far is led us from where we found the first track on Mvubu Road, just to the south of the dam, and he's followed them through the block up here. A pretty difficult track because, of course, it's through the block, it's not on a road, and he's following a cat track. But the rain's actually helped us here, where the rain doesn't help us on the road because it leaves a sort of crust that light cats are difficult to see on. The soil here, much deeper, less compressed in the blocks, makes little pug marks. So here is one. There is a lion track. Actually, VM spotted that now, coming down towards this drainage system, and that's where we think they've gone. And that's only there because of the rain. If that was dry, it wouldn't have left any mark at all. So while we live like this, we'll just hang a little bit back from Herbie, because I'm talking obviously, and I'm not concentrating entirely on what's going on in front of me. Just move that up the way for VM, so you can come through. So I'm really quite pleased with this, because I think it means certainly that these lions could be on the property, and secondly that we might actually be able to find them on foot, which would be very special indeed. I haven't seen a lion at Djuma since I've been back here. I think that's a track there. Philip, yes, I suppose it is. You say, is the Kruger the equivalent to Yellowstone? Yeah, it is. The South African equivalent to Yellowstone. It's much bigger, though. As far as I understand it, the Yellowstone National Park is about, I think it's, about 500,000 acres or something like that. The Kruger National Park is about 8.5 million acres if you take in, or if you include the Mozambican and Zimbabwean sides. So it's much bigger than Yellowstone. But yes, it is the iconic park of South Africa. Okay, we're going to continue down through here, concentrating. Noel has apparently found something that sits in a tree but likes to kill things on the ground.
James, I have found something in a tree that likes to kill things on the ground. Yes, that gave me a big smile, James, thanks. So, it's a bird. It's a rather large bird. It's got a very, very flat head, quite a robust beak with a little hook at the end, so it definitely is a meat eater. It's got black coming down the chest, a white bib underneath there. This is a black-breasted or black-chested snake eagle, as far as I can tell from here. And see how the wings are hanging? He's also a little bit wet, a little bit cold, so he's found a nice spot in the sun to warm up and dry off. And then you can see there he's busy preening himself, rearranging his feathers so that his flight pattern is correct and he doesn't injure himself. Now, something I love about this bird, sorry, I'm just trying to see something. Hold on, everybody. I just want to check something very, very, very quickly before I carry on with what I'm saying. And it just has to do with what I can see on the tail. And I'm just going to find it in the book so that I can show you. If we have a look at the tail there, you can see that there's some barring underneath. Now, black-breasted snake eagles, for me, and other people can be different, black-breasted snake eagles and Marshall's eagles can sometimes be confused. So I just wanted to show you. Oh, while I'm busy with this bird's not going to go anywhere. Let's head up to Jamie. She's got a hyena carrying a carcass. So let's go view that, and we'll stay here, and we'll get back to you just now.
All of the hyena cubs went to bed. But I think there's something that might just entice them back out again. Now I saw the kill, but it was very, very far away while I was sitting at the den. That's where I was heading to next. Now, this hyena has got a massive piece of a topi kill. And I thought perhaps maybe she was taking it back towards the den site, just as we'd been talking about in terms of high-ranking females dragging food back to the den. She's got very, very close, but she seems to run out of energy now. It was quite fascinating to witness, though, this massive piece of topi. It's a bit macabre. For those of you that have sensitive stomachs, it's a topi's head, spine, and rib cage. So it's a little bit interesting. Oh, here comes a much larger female, the one that was sitting at the den. Let's see how this plays out. Let's listen as well for the sounds. pretty evenly ranked by the looks of things. There's no major fussing. Or one on the right, I think, slightly higher up in the hierarchy, but not by much. I mean, you can see there's none of that submissive behavior. The female at the back is enormous. She's like a barrel. She's much bigger than this one. But then again, it's not necessarily about size within hyena dynamics. There's a lot to do with personality and hormones as well. Was a third hyena that was following behind them. Oh, there it is. There was a third hyena that is most definitely not in the same hierarchy. Oh, there we go. There goes the topi. Its final journey towards the den site. Let's see if the cubs are going to come back out. She's getting close. It's heavy, obviously. She's had to rest a few times. Yes. This topi's last migration from one side of the ridge to the other. A little bit macabre. The head's always the last bit to be eaten because it's not particularly appetizing. Not much meat on it. The eyes go, but that's about it. Okay, getting very close to the den. Let's see if she's going to stop there or if she's going to keep going. I don't see why she'd walk all the way here and then go past the den. Unless her cubs are at a different one. It would be a little bit cruel to walk past with a tantalizing smell of food and then not share it. Maybe she just wants to be close to the cubs. Joy, you say a topi trophy. Absolutely. Her topi trophy. She has walked away victorious. Or at least she's got the leftovers. I think I suspect that this was a hyena kill. I don't think it was a lion kill. I think it was a hyena kill. I think that they caught this topi themselves. Oh, another break. Let's catch up with her while she's dropped it. And then we can hear if she calls cubs out. If I can remember how to drive. I don't want to go too fast and scare her. Although they are very relaxed. I mean, this is one of the main roads. Up and over the ridge. Hello again. Long time no see. Let's stop here, give them enough space because she's looking at us with a touch of wariness. So let's stop here and give her some space. Right, now are you going to go and call your cubs out? What's your plan from here? Because of course if you're going to have to call your cubs out, then you're going to have to leave that there unguarded. Decisions, dilemmas. Or are you just going to eat it yourself? Possibly just going to eat it yourself. Those cubs are a little bit young. They will have started, the older ones will have started chewing on meat every now and again if the opportunity presents itself. But they are a little bit young to really be thinking about feeding on meat full time. Hyenas have quite, charming. Bit of grizzle. Hyenas have quite an extended period of lactation. In other words, the cubs suckle for quite a long time. Makes sense, the higher ranking females suckle for longer because they have access to better resources. They get the best part of the kill, they get the most food, therefore they can lactate for longer. There she goes, she's going in. Barack Boxen? Uncertain, I'm sorry if I've got your name wrong. You want to know how big of a prey animal could a hyena carry? They're exceptionally strong animals, and you're probably looking at around about half of their body weight. So for a big 70, 80, 90 kilogram female, Something, I mean, if they can't carry it, they'll drag it. I've seen a hyena drag half an impala carcass, which probably weighed around about 30 kilograms. I saw her drag it, or I tracked her dragging it, for around about 2 kilometers. And they can be pretty determined. Oh, females snuck in. Come on, cubs, quick, quick. Mom's here. Breakfast. Or have you all gone to sleep? After all that, she's going to check every entrance to the den. While the breakfast disappears. Don't you hate it when that happens? You get breakfast for yourself and it turns out somebody's eaten it. It's happened a few times in our camp with breakfast that's been saved, to the despair of the person who was trying to save it. She's not calling, she's just sniffing the entrance to the den at the moment. So this one is taking full advantage of, if not a lapse in attention, then certainly a lapse in presence. Come on, little ones. You're losing out. All that's going to be left is Topi Titbits, if you don't hurry. There's so many entrances to this den. It is basically, and I wouldn't want to drive anywhere near that. Obviously I know the den is there, so I wouldn't. But I think that one would find if you put a vehicle over that, it would probably collapse. So now you've got to be so careful when driving off-road. It's just a network of tunnels. Yes. Were they? They're ungrateful, huh? All that work you just put in and they've gone to bed. Go eat it for yourself then, quickly. Take advantage of a moment's peace. Hyena on the right, I don't know how to put this delicately, but she doesn't really look like she needs that meal, does she? As I said, she looks like a barrel. She is so full. Oh, hello, 3 legs. Bit of a sore back left. Definitely not a high-ranking individual. In fact, I would say that's probably a male. Ginny, you're looking at, I suppose you could say, around about between 8 months and a year old, that the hyena cubs are feeding. They'll start to feed on bones from the minute they start to feed on meat from the carcass. And what you'll find often scattered around a hyena den site will be a collection of old bones. And those hyena cubs are beautiful. Those hyena cubs have been practicing or developing their jaw strength by chewing on the bones around the den pretty much since the moment they open their eye. Well, not open their eyes, but the moment that they can walk. The minute that they're wandering about, they will start to chew on the bones. But those are old bones that don't have any real nutritional value. It's just it's teething, basically. It's like a puppy or a kitten wanting to chew everything that it can possibly get its mouth around. Once they start to feed on meat, then they will start to chew on the bones as well. A hyena cub still has, obviously we know that the adults have bone-crushing power. A hyena cub is still, I wouldn't want to get bitten by one. I'm pretty sure it could bite through your finger without any difficulty at around about 3 months old. I thought that the hyena cubs were going to pop out and they were going to enjoy their meal of the topi. So I'm just going to sit here a bit longer to see if they do. But since most of the action has calmed down, let's go back across to Noel with something that is as expert at hunting as these hyenas are.